All right, let's get back into it. And my little buzzer thing is not working now. Here we go. And we're on. All right, so turn the body away from the light, head back in, point the toe closest to the camera, towards the camera, bend the knee closest to the camera, shift the weight back, arms off the body, chest forward. If it bends, bend it. Okay? So you saw that demonstration with Hayley before.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Quick waiting.
All right. So we all saw that demonstration with Hayley before, and here it is up on the screen for you. So you can see the little gap there in the arms. That trims the body down. There's no gap here. It's just it's dress and arm. There's a tiny little gap here, but this part looks wider. Okay? Although there's a little gap here, she's equally weighted, so it looks very rectangle. Okay? Whereas here, it's more that hourglassy sort of shape. And it's super simple. Like, it doesn't require much. Like, you don't have to go wow all the way. It's just, it can be subtle as well. As much or as little as you want. But if you do it that way, she will always look the best she can. All right? So, bending the knee. So if we push the hip towards the camera, see how this whole area here looks bigger? Because it's lighter and it's closer to the camera. When we push the hip away, it looks smaller and it creates that hourglass shape. And by bending the knee, so if you're pushing your hip towards the camera, your leg's got to bend. So it widens this area here, as you can see. But with the knee over, tilting away, it brings it back down. Okay? And that's the thing to remember with cropping as well. So there's a cropping diagram in here. And when you crop, we don't want to crop at a part where the body is extending out, because it gives the brain the perception that it keeps going out. You want to crop at this point when it comes in, because it gives the brain the perception that everything comes in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're kind of the two big things that I want to demonstrate with that point the toe, with that series, okay? So here's a few little posing tips for you. So demonstrate your pose to your subject in a mirror fashion. Put a pin in that, we'll come back to it. Oh, not that soon. So hourglass shape for men, and we want to hang the body a little bit for guys. So we're going to get into that next, all right? Relax the hands. Has anyone been to Italy? Seen Sistine Chapel, Creation of Adam? Like, that's relaxed hand. Okay? So relax the hands. Head tilt to the right or left depending on the light and the message you want to convey. Doesn't matter so much with women, but with men, if you tilt the head the wrong way, he looks fabulous. Okay? So you've got to work out, and I'll give you that tip, all right? So tilting the head is a big one. Shift the weight to one side or shift the weight back. So we're shifting the weight to one side for the guys, we're shifting it back for the girls. Use what's around you. So use the veil, use flowers, use foliage, use light and shadow, okay, to amplify strengths, hide weaknesses. If it bends, bend it. And when all else fails, let the light guide you. Okay?
Sorry, with that one there, did you have a light on their face as well, like from down here? Down in front of them?
No, that's natural light.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there is a light behind them. So there's a backlight behind them. but that area was the one pocket of light, this big shaft of light that was coming through all the foliage and stuff.
So the light behind is your light.
The light behind is a flash.
Ah, okay.
Yep. And the one here is just natural light. Yep.
So when you've got your lights behind the subject,
Yep.
are you photoshopping the softbox out, or are you putting it in a position, like depending on what light you use, are you putting it in a position that you can easily
So
get rid of it?
no, I'm not photoshopping a softbox out because I'm not using a softbox behind them.
No.
What I'm using is my little flashes that are on a light stand,
Yep.
and depending on what I'm trying to achieve, depends on the height of that. So it's just one speed light on a stand, and the stand is collapsed like that, so it's as small as it possibly can be. Normally, I'm with a flash from behind, I'm putting it about shoulder height, so that if I just go down a little bit, I'm not seeing it.
Gotcha.
I can go up a little bit and I'm still kind of not seeing it. So it just gives me a little bit of leeway to go, which direction, what do I want? And then on that flash, normally I've just got a grid.
Okay.
And that flash is normally probably 2 meters away. So the rule for backlighting to a degree, depending on what you want to achieve, is to normally put the flash at about the same height as what the tallest person is behind them. So if you've got your subject, lay your subject over, put your flash there. And normally at about chest, shoulder height. If you want to be more specific with it and zoom it in and have a stronger beam of light, then you can raise it up, normally behind, if you've got a couple, normally behind the guy's head. So it points, so it's sort of coming in, so you've got the guy and the girl. Normally, so it's coming behind the guy's head, but it's coming in this direction. So it's still behind them, but just slightly off, so you're getting a little bit of fall off onto her.
Okay.
Yep.
So that first photo that you showed us with the chandelier light that you...
Coming down, yep.
And then you said you had the...
Softbox.
Was that up? Could you see that in the photo, or was it out?
No, it was just out.
Just out,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a wide lens and I was in nice and close and it was just out. So it was on a light stand and it was a softbox about that round and it was up and it was tilted over at about a bit over 45 degrees coming down on them.
Right.
And I'm pretty much level with it with a 14mm lens, just so it was just out of the shot.
Out of it.
Yeah, yeah. But in that case I had to turn it up a bit,
Yeah.
so it did spread a bit. If you don't want it to spread and you want it softer, that's when you bring it closer and you just edit it out afterwards.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Is that cool?
Yep.
Cool. So, mirroring. Has anyone heard of mirroring before?
No.
So, if you're not confident with posing and directing someone, which so many people aren't, because if you say to someone, oh, can you just turn your foot this way? Yep. Now move your left hand. No, you're right. No, oh, your other left. Yep, that's it. Like, you can look at and turn your head, just turn your head this way. No, tilt. No, this is a tilt, that's a turn. Yeah. Like, don't laugh. I've done it 100 times. I still do it. So it can make you look a bit amateurish. So normally the easiest way is to say to your subject, hey, just mirror what I do. So that breaks down languages. So if you're photographing someone from another country, you have the luxury of going overseas to shoot a wedding or something. By doing that, you can have an interpreter say, hey, just tell a person to mirror what I do. And that is the easiest way for you to pose and direct someone. It's done quick and you don't look like a fool. Because if you've got lighting coming from one side, you can see exactly what's happening on them in real time as you're doing it. So quite often I will have a dude or a girl next to a window and I'll go, just mirror what I do, and I'll just go tilt, and I'll do little adjustments and they'll follow me, and it's perfect. It doesn't make you look like a fool. And if by chance they get it wrong, which happens all the time, if I say to someone, hey, mirror what I do, and light's coming from here and I turn my head this way and they turn their head that way, I go, hang on, you'd freak out if your mirror did that. Right? And instantly the barriers sort of come down and they go, Like, and we go back again. But by doing that, you're not making them feel uncomfortable. You're breaking down that barrier, and you're not making you look like a fool because you're trying to direct them and it's just kind of not happening. And you can also direct them and mirror them, tell them to mirror you, and do what you want to do. And if it doesn't look good, then you can adjust. You can change it without having to say anything to them that might make them more self-conscious about something. So mirroring is probably one of the best tools I've ever learned. A lot of this comes down to personality as well. You would be surprised the shit that I get away with. Okay? Wedding photos particularly is 99% personality and like 1% clicking the shutter.
They've got to be comfortable with you.
Yes. Yeah, and you've got to have that personality. And you've got to know what you can get away with. Okay? In a very respectful way. You can push it a little bit till you know where the limit is and just keep it below that. And then you'll always have a good day because you're connecting with them on their level. Make sense? All right. This is the part that Hayley wants to run and hide from.
But you look good.
She does. She does. She looks amazing. So knowing what we know, like these are some photos that Hayley had taken a little while back from an amazing friend of mine. She is an amazing photographer and I love her to death. But when I saw them, I just went, oh, if only. And she's given me permission to use these tonight to show you guys. So when you get this PDF, they won't be in there because they're not mine, okay? All right? So, looking at this, as beautiful as she is, what would be the one thing that you would do to change just to make it more aesthetically pleasing? There's one thing. It's the fundamental. It's the first thing. What is it?
The hips.
No. Body away from the light.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Head back in. Because you can see where the shadow is. The light's coming from over here. Now, this may have been the look that girl was going for. For me, I would have gone, just go a little bit this way. Just mirror this way. And it creates that cross. And it would have short side of the face. Because you see, there's the shadow side here. Because the light's coming from this way. So, would you agree that although Hayley's face is quite symmetrical, this side looks bigger than this side? All that is that. That's it. Just 20 degrees. You're done. All right? What do we adjust?
Oh, same thing.
The decade, that's out of the 80s.
Yeah.
You're in punching distance, mate. What do we adjust? The first thing again, what do we adjust?
The twist of the body.
Turn the body away from the light, head back in. And if you really wanted to, just bend that arm just a little bit, just to give a little bit more of a gap in here. Perfect.
Would you put
But
the hand, onto the leg a little bit more, like a softer hand up a little bit? Not
no, because she's pulling the dress,
Oh, okay.
so you can see a little bit of Angelina Jolie going on down here. So, but look at Hayley's face again. This side now looks disproportionately larger, and the longer you look at it, the longer it's going to bug you.
Yeah.
All right?
Does the light source move a bit? Because she's casting a far bigger shadow there.
Yeah. So the light source probably hasn't moved. She's probably just stepped a little bit further away from the background. That's all it is.
I was actually moving around a lot for that photo shoot, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of movement and flow, so yeah, change positions from that last photo.
So she probably come forward a little bit and moved. Yep. But if you just turn you can still you can still be connected with the camera, eye connection, but you just turn the head the other way. And that changes that entire shot, changes her face, shadow. It's looks even more amazing. Okay?
Yeah. Was the woman happy with that?
Yeah.
That's what she wanted?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yep.
what she was looking for.
And bear in mind, I'm picking at this,
Yeah.
but what we all do is so incredibly subjective. Right? I've submitted photos to awards thinking, yep, this is a whole bunch of golds. Sweet. And I get it back and it's a whole bunch of rocks, right? So it's purely subjective. And it all depends on your unconditional positive regard, how you see that person, what your education level around this is, as to whether you pick what the differences are. But the first thing that I want all of you to do is body away from the light, head back in. It's the first thing. And with side light, if someone's, particularly a bride, if she's wearing a white dress, the light from the side is going to show off the detail in that dress. By turning her towards it, so light's coming from, Hayley, can I borrow you? Just step a bit closer to the light. Step back a touch. Yep. So Hayley's wearing white shirt. Okay? So bride's going to be wearing a white dress. If you're doing a portrait shot and you do that whole thing where everyone's got to wear a white shirt, blue jeans, white shirt, right? So if she turns her body slowly towards the light and then turns her face back this way to engage with the camera, all of this is bright white and it's brighter than her face. And in a photo, we want to draw attention, or naturally in a photo, our eye goes to the brightest part of the photo with the most contrast. When the brightest part is the white chest and shoulders, that's where your eye's going to go and you're going to lose the face. Okay? So turning the body away from the light now casts a shadow. So if you've got a lacy dress or a lacy top or something, you see all the depth and dimension because it's that split lighting scenario that highlights depth and dimension. Because as the light comes across, it casts little baby shadows across the highs and lows. And then you turn the face back into the light. The white dress is now slightly darker than the face. Thank you. Thank you all. All right, posing for dudes. I call it doudoir. No. Does anyone do doudoir?
Quick question about pose for women.
Yep.
Pretty quick. So you do this base pose, and after you do just variations of that.
Yep.
Different photos, like different hands, something
Yep.
like that. And
Yep.
close up as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Just all sort of different variants. And if she's got a partner, then you've got added things. So think of it as building the frame of the house, and then you can furnish it anytime, any way you want. Yeah. All right. Posing for dudes. It's a lot more simpler. All we want to do is shift the weight to one side, because when they stand equally weighted, they look scared, right? First thing I say to any dude when I do, say, the groom's prep or something like that, I say to all the boys, guys, whenever I point the camera at you today, all day, whenever I point the camera at you, all I want you to do is to shift your weight to one side, put your hands in your pockets, and relax. Like Trent from Punchy, just relax, eh? Right? So, shift the weight to one side. Normally, I'll say to the guys, put your hands in your pockets. Otherwise, they stand there like this.
Hiding the crotch.
Hiding the crutch, yep. And that draws your attention to their crutch. If they've got their hands like this, what are they doing? Framing it. If they've got their thumbs out like that, what are they doing? Pointing to it. I know. And I tried to edit them out, but he was a male model, so he did his thing.
And so he can point to it.
Yep. So he can do whatever he wants.
So
Right?
how far in do you put the hand? Because I don't like
Just-
putting it in too far because it looks like they're an
Just to where it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Just to where they want to pull their thumb out, but don't.
But keep it away.
Yep. Just so that you've got a bit of this going on. Yep. Okay. So when I say hang the body from the shoulders, imagine you've got a coat hanger holding them up, right? And if they were, I won't lean against the glass. So say leaning back on the wall. If you stand up straight like that, we look fabulous, right? If we hands in, so say light's coming from that side, so we pretend it's that light, okay? Leaning on the wall, I'm gonna shift the weight to one side. I can cross the leg over even. I'm just gonna let myself hunch forward a little bit, and I'm gonna look that way. How cool do I look?
Oh, cool.
You can come to all of them, right? But, and it's the same if you're shooting directly on, leaning on a wall and you're right in front. If he's like this and up straight, he looks fabulous, right? If you get him to relax, let the shoulders drop, hunch forward a little bit and look at you, it's a little bit hunchy, but when the shoulders come forward a little bit, it does broaden the shoulders a little bit. Because, why is that? Because it's closer to the camera. There's all these little eccentricities. And again, turn the body away from the light, head back in. He didn't do it, because I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Okay. Yeah, he still looks fabulous, doesn't he? All right. So that's pretty much exactly what I just showed you then. So light is coming through there, shining on him and the doggo, right? And he's got his hands in his pockets. He's got his chin up probably a little bit more than I would prefer. And that's only because he's not hunched forward quite enough. He's standing up a little bit straight. And because he's wearing a dark suit, I've opened his body up to the light a little bit. Otherwise, that dark suit is a little bit too dark and he looks like a floating head. Especially if it's a dark background. Especially if it's a dark-skinned person. That's a case of smile, dude, because I can't see you. Right? I mean that with the most respect. So that's one of those scenarios. So because I know what I was trying to achieve, and I understand lighting and I understand how to pose and direct, that's what I can do. I want to give that gift to you guys. So he's shifting his weight to one side. He's hanging the body a little bit from the shoulders, not as much as what I'd like. Turn the body away from the light, head back in. I've broken that rule because I want to highlight his suit. If tilting the head, tilt towards the lowest shoulder. Watch. Shift the weight to one side. This shoulder's the highest, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Right? It's a massive difference just by a head tilt. So with a guy, unless he wants to look more feminine, and if he does, that's totally fine. That was the first guy. He was gay. He wanted to look, didn't want to look quite as masculine as what I would normally do. So I'll let him go a bit. Right? If you want a little bit more of a feminine look, then keep the head straight or just go slightly to the higher side. If you don't, if you're very much the other way, tilt the head to the low shoulder. High shoulder, feminine, low shoulder, masculine. For a guy. For a girl, similar, but it's not as pronounced. Okay? So looking at that, you're probably going, Ben, his head's tilted to the high shoulder. That's because of my camera angle.
Oh, okay.
So all I've said to him is he's not quite facing me. All I've said to him is lean on the wall there and turn your face towards me. So he's not tilting. He's not tilting. He's just turning. But that's because of my camera angle. So it looks like head tilt to the higher shoulder, but it's tricky, it's not. Right?
And it doesn't look as feminine.
No. So shift the weight, hands in pockets, head tilt lower shoulder. Head tilt lower shoulder. He's a little bit straighter. He's kind of in the middle. He's lower shoulder. And while they're all shift the weight to one side, they're all hands in their pockets, all I've done is turn them a little bit, right? And I've used aperture to separate them. So my focus point is on him. So and I'm probably at f3.5, 3.2, because I deliberately do this kind of shot at like 3.2, 3.5, sometimes 4, because I want to separate him and soften all of these guys.
And the different poses.
Yep. Yep, and they're all different.
So say them putting their hands in their pocket opens the suit jacket up a little bit. You saw sort of the whites of all their shirts.
And normally I will say to a groom, if it's a 2-button jacket, top button only, because then you're going to see that little white bit all day long anyway. When it's done with, when the 2 buttons are done up, it looks weird. And when they put their hands in their pockets, everything stretches.
Yeah.
So top button only.
Okay.
Yep. And you see that little white part all the time.
What about the actual ceremony? Same deal? Only
Top button only.
Okay.
Yep. 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 Because when both of them are done up, it's all too tight
Yeah.
and it's a bit staunch. Yeah. Whoops, wrong button. So same deal again. Shift the weight to one side, hands in your pockets. You can't really see the hands so much. I'm okay with that. And all I've got him is body away from the light, looking back in. And I've just put him in front of the stairs to get that line going through. It's super simple, but that was a whole spread in their album.
Gee.
Yep. All right. A couple of little posing tips. Men normally always have pockets. Use them.
So what if they don't? Just go like that.
If they don't, we can do these things. We can do that if you need to, but it's very rare that a guy doesn't have pockets. Very rare. Sometimes the military uniforms don't have pockets. In that case, most of the time they've got a rifle, a sword, or something like that, so they're carrying something. Yeah. Or
Do the old Al Bundy.
Piggy. And normally, if they don't have pockets, if you're just doing a portrait session and your subject doesn't have pockets, you're hurting yourself. Say to them, hey, wear some pants with pockets. If it's a wedding or something that don't have pockets, they've normally got a bride. Or a groom. Either or, right? So, men always have pockets, so use them, including the thumbs. Okay? Don't highlight it, don't frame it, don't point to it. No one wants to see it, all right? Sorry about that. And that's saved forever on camera. So, and lean on stuff. For blokes, it's always cool to lean on stuff because you always look good. Standing up, equally weighted, we look scared. You know, we can sort of do this a little bit, but when we've got something to lean on, we look so much better and we feel so much more comfortable. Okay? If I could lean here all day and talk to you like this, I would, but it'd be unprofessional, and I'm not. So, subtleties. Don't let the nose break the cheek line or break the face. What do I mean by that? So, there's so many people that are conscious about their noses, okay? And there's certain poses that will amplify the size of a nose or amplify the perceived look of that nose, okay? So, firstly, never shoot up, don't shoot up. Don't go on the ground and shoot up because that looks bad, all right? Even if they're side on. So, Hayley, can I borrow you for a minute? So, I've been talking as fast as I can, but we might go a little bit over. Is everyone okay with that? Are we okay with that? Where's Sean?
I'm shutting now, mate.
Rightio. All right. So with Hayley, can I? Some love. All right. So if I've got, instead of shooting up a nose, photographers down here, right? We've got this really cool sky, really cool tree, you know, all that kind of stuff. All right. What I would do is I would put a hand here. I'd get Hayley to put a hand on my forearm, and then roll your wrist in towards you. Yep, that's it. And then my leg is bent a little bit. Right. Her leg is bent, so you kind of want to hug each other with your leg. All right. Doesn't matter which one goes first. Okay. But then, if photographers down there shooting up, what I want to do is correct their perspective. So they're not shooting up the nose. So what would I do? I would do that. I would lean into her. Or I would look at the camera and get her to lean into me. Get her to look at the camera, and I would whisper something disgraceful in her ear. Right? So, but we're leaning over and we're correcting the perspective. So the camera's shooting this way, right? If we're shooting up like that, it's it's making things look taller and stretching things. If the subject tips over, we've got the right perspective again. Cool, cool?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Benny. So don't shoot up the nose.
So with the big nose, would you broad light it?
Yes, you can. Short lighting as well, as long as you don't cross the cheek, which I'll show you in a sec. So tilting the nose up or down can make it larger or smaller. Stand in the mirror and go, check out that beak, and you'll see it. Okay? Don't turn the head so far. So when I say crossing the line of the cheek, don't turn your head so far that the point of your nose crosses the line of your cheek. So tell me when my nose crosses the line of my cheek.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you get to that point, we want to go back just a little bit so you can see a tiny little bit of cheek and the nose. Because if I go too far and it's not full profile, it makes your nose look big. It makes it look long Pinocchio style. Here is what it looks like in practice. See, we're not crossed there, and we're not crossed with both of these two. Light coming from this way. So what have I done? Exactly the same pose. It's the go-to. He kisses her. She's got chin up, but I'm making sure that her nose isn't crossing the line of her cheek. His nose isn't crossing. And in this one, she's just looking out the window, and I'm making sure it's not crossing there.
So do you move yourself for that or get them to?
No, I just go, hey, mirror what I do. Done. Or, good point, remember that you're not planted. You can go that way if you want to, or you can move. So yes, you could if you wanted to, or you can just go, hey, just mirror what I do and just take it back a touch. Because 9 times out of 10, if you move, you're getting more light. You might be opening something up. You might be opening more light up in here that you don't want to get. Or you might be trying to hide something back here. So, yeah. The mouth. So we want to open the mouth just enough to breathe through. Okay? Yep. What that does is it fools the lips out, and as they breathe in, they breathe out, and the lips become just a tiny bit fuller. When they're closed, you can get little lines in here, because sometimes if people are being directed, they're not used to it, they'll go, shit, I'm over this. Or they might hold their tongue on the roof of their mouth, which tightens up all here. Okay? And that's because they don't know. So, relax, breathe through your mouth, open your mouth just enough to breathe through. Okay? So, with regard to eyes, so there's, in my humble opinion, there's like 4 basic rules in regard to eye position. Okay? So 1, looking directly into the camera. Self-explanatory. 2, looking completely away from the camera lens, 45 degrees plus. So you're totally disengaged. Okay? Looking down the length of the body. Not that, because it looks, because it's double chin.
Especially if your hands in your pocket.
Yeah. So looking down the, like with a female, it's easy to go like that.
Okay.
Looking down the length of the body. And she can hold her dress out, hold flowers out. Beautiful. All right? And you want about a 70-30 split between colour and white. 70% colour, about 30% white. When there's too much white, it can look a little bit, just a little bit ghoulish, okay? When there's too much white. Sorry?
That's Cam. Is that Cam?
That's Cam.
That's Cam.
Yep. So I love that photo and it's beautiful, and there's just a little bit too much white there, but I still love the photo because it's the light in her eyes, and see the catch lights are above the pupils. Yeah. Again, light coming in from this way, body away from the light, head back in. The light's just coming around her hair, and the catch lights are at the top, just above her pupils. So relaxing the hands. Hands is probably one of the biggest misposed thing ever. The easiest way to do it is get them to hold their hand out and then relax it. Hold your hand out, relax. Now, see how your hand immediately did that? That's creation of Adam, right? So when you've got a hand like that and it's relaxed, you go over like that, come back like that, put it there, like you just relax that hand and just place it. When we don't want to see this, the club kind of look, right? In that regard, I would say turn the hand. See how I just turn the hand over? I say to all my brides, be a swan. Right? Save forever. Right? So,
Just don't stand on one.
yeah, yeah, don't Photoshop it. So be a swan. So let everything go and do this. Okay? If you got a hand, so for one of my go-to photos is perfume, right? I've got light coming in from that side, so I'll do that. I'll get her to hold her hand up, so she's about to spray. This hand holds the lid, nice and relaxed, and we do that. And I get it to lean forward, done. And it looks elegant and timeless and beautiful, and it's posed beautifully, and the light coming in shows off the dress, shows off perfume, and it's just good, and hands are nice and soft. All right? So here is what that looks like here. Now, we want to see, with a bloke, it's okay to see this part of the wrist. Like if we want to do this, cool. We want to do the thinker, cool, right? It's okay to see this part of the wrist. For a female, we want her, she might want to be, more slender. So we would go the thinner part of the wrist. Fat wrist, thin wrist. See what I mean? So in all of these photos, you can see she's thin wrist. Here it's covered by the flowers. Thin wrist there, slightly thin there, but she's holding flowers. If I really wanted to get pedantic, I would just get her to turn the flowers a little bit. But we've got a bend in the arm, so I've got a gap in there. Body away from the light, head back in, looking down the length of her body. Body away from the light, head back in, looking out. Gap there. Relaxed hand. So the closed. See how if I keep it relaxed, it just does that? That's where she's at. She's got it relaxed. So keep the hands relaxed. So tell them, hold your hand out, now relax it, and then tell them to place it. Or tell them to rest it. And specifically for a female, don't do this. If you're going to do that resting pose on the chin, don't go that way. We want to go that way. It's just softer. So we want to break the wrist that way. Okay? Now, another point to this with arms and wrists and stuff is that if we say you've got a sitting pose and you might get someone to do this. Camera position's there. What are we photographing here? A nub. Yeah. From that perspective, all you see is a bit of a nub, right? It's the same with women. If the hand's down, you're photographing this way, all you see is like a weird looking nub. So what I do is elbow out. So if she's relaxing on something, don't get her to hold a hand like that. Bring the hand back into the body. So you see arm out, hand back in, because that gives the full shape of the arm. And then you can, and then you side the wrist and you relax the hand. This is a nub. This you can see everything. Okay? Cropping the body. So when you get this, it's on there. Okay? So much more in my online program. But the green line is where you can crop. The red lines is where you shouldn't. This is kind of a cross between my humble opinion and industry standard. Okay? So I won't go too deep into that because it's all pretty self-explanatory when you get it. But what you want to remember is that if you are cropping, you want to be cropping at the part of the body where it goes in, out of the frame. All right? If you're cropping arms, what you don't want to see is this crop here, where the arm goes out of the, so this line here, you don't want to see where the arm goes out of the frame and then a hand comes back in. Because like, whose hand's that? Right? But it's okay to crop off the part, but keep the join. Because your eye goes, aha, that's her hand. Right? So you see just the little part of the join, and that's cool. That's her hand, or his hand, or whatever. But so, all cool with that? Yep. So here's a couple of my little tips for posing. All right? If you're not confident, fake it. Fake it till you make it. Right? And that's where mirroring comes in. If you fake the confidence, then normally it'll just flow and it'll be a lot easier. If you let the fact that you're not confident and it's all not working for you, it's going to get uncomfortable for everyone. Okay? So use mirroring. It's an awesome tool. Have a pose list or a storyboard. Don't freak out. There's one after this. So having a pose list that you run through, say at a wedding or a portrait shoot, having like a fixed list. Yes, it's cookie cutter, but boring is profitable. Right? You get all the standard stuff, you get your vegetables, and then you can experiment later on. You've got to get what you've got to get, and then you can have a play. Have a pose list. Let the light guide you. So if it's coming from above, do my favourite. All right? If it's coming from the side, do my other. Haley, can I borrow you for a sec? This is my other favourite, right? You got to turn your head into the light. So can you stand there? So we got light coming from this side, right? This is my other favourite. Light coming from one side. You get the groom to stand. Well, if it's a guy and a girl, if it's a guy and a guy, this works as well. If it's a girl and a girl, this works as well. All right. So we want to shift your weight. So turn your body away from the light. Yep, head back in a little bit. So she's pushing back into me a little bit. Okay. So instead of her leaning forward now, I'm going to get her to lean back a little bit towards me. Right? Just like that. And then with this hand, she's going to bring it up, put it on my cheek. So it's going to be nice and soft, just touching my cheek there. And then we're going to turn our heads into each other and see how there's now a shadow on her. I'm just going to rotate her a little bit and we're both going to lean forward a touch, right? And I'm going to look into her. And if there's still a shadow, then she comes forward a little bit, right? And then we both heads together, look at each other's lips. And if she's got her hand here, if you're a dude and you want her hand on you, where are you going to put your hand? You're gonna put it here, like, oh, I love you. Like it's gonna go here. So just very softly here, okay? And then you're turning your head into each other, chins down a little bit, lean forward a little bit, right? Looking at each other's lips. And then what I say to people is tell each other you love each other without saying anything, just by how you're snuggling in, right? And you'll find quite often they end up like a pair of cats, just like rubbing up against each other, right? But, thank you. But you're not breaking the intensity of it and you're not interrupting them and they're experiencing a moment and they're having that little moment, which goes to them having the time to stop and breathe and enjoy the day and that sort of stuff. All right? So that's my other little favourite.
So Ben, you have them looking at the lips.
Looking at each other's lips.
Instead of eyes closed.
You can go eyes closed if you want to. I found that eyes closed looks a little bit like they're a bit sleepy and have forgotten what's happening.
Yeah.
Looking at each other's lips means their eyes are just open enough just so you can see a little bit of eye, and they're still engaged with each other. Yep. Personality, last one. Use your sparkling personality. Tonight wouldn't have been nearly as fun if I was boring. That was your cue, but anyway, we move on. So, nice personality. So, let your personality shine. Be respectful and take it to, where everyone's comfortable. Okay. Have a cheese-free diet. Okay, nothing cheesy. So here is that pose list. Now this is for a couple, whether it's a wedding, engagement, portrait, whatever. Like this is kind of the couple must-haves. Okay, it'll be in there when you get this. That's it. Ta-da!